Just lengthening through your hamstrings. Exhale, bend through your knees. Bring your fingertips down to the mat and let your head hang heavy. Good. Again, you can bring your fingertips to opposite elbows going into ragdoll for 3 deep breaths. And I have a request from John in the other room to turn the music up. Good. A little bit louder. A little bit higher. Good. One more deep inhale here. And exhale, fingertips down to the mat. Inhale, again, lengthening through your knees, hands to shins. Flat back. And exhale, fingertips back down to the mat. Moving through some just spinal rolls. So we're going to inhale, bring our hands up to our shins again. And then just slowly curling through your spine, lengthening through your knees. Come all the way up to standing. Inhale, both hands up overhead. And breathe in. Good. Really stretching up tall here. Grab hold of your left wrist, pull it to the right. Lengthening into that side body. Inhale back to center. Exhale, opposite wrist in opposite direction. Good. Inhale back to center. Exhale back to that left wrist. Pull it to the right. Maybe lengthening, getting a little deeper into the stretch this time. Inhale back to center. Exhale, right wrist pull to the left. Good. Inhale, hands back overhead. Let your hands fall down to your sides. Deep inhale and exhale. Good. We're going to keep our feet about hip width apart. Bend through your knees. Start to sit back like you would in chair pose. So we have a low back that's flat. If you're noticing any pinching in your low back, just sit up a little bit more. But if this feels okay, inhale, both hands up overhead. Chair pose. Utkatasana. Good. Building some fire in those quads. Gaze looking in front of you. Deep inhale. Exhale. Maybe consider getting those sit bones a little closer to the ground. Build a little bit more fire. Good. Can we take 3 more deep breaths here? Good. Inhale, both hands up overhead. Woo. Exhale, sit it back down into that chair. Good. And again, hands can be up overhead. You can bring hands to heart center, or you can bring your hands to your hips. Lots of choices here. Building some fire, waking up those quads. Deep inhale, extend up, both hands overhead. Exhale, hinge forward through your hips, dive forward with your hands, forward fold. Again, shake your head yes and no. We want all 10 fingertips down on the mat, so bend your knees as deeply as you need to make that happen. Take 3 deep breaths right here. Breathing into your low back. Breathing into your neck and shoulders. Good. Inhale. We're going to bend our knees just a little bit deeper so we can plant our palms down on the mat. And then we're going to step back with our feet until we're in an upside down V shape. Our hands are about shoulder width. And then kind of notice how those hamstrings feel today. How long has it been since you've done a downward facing dog? Bend through your knees, pedal out through your feet. You notice how this feels today. Maybe it feels really good and it's welcoming. Maybe it feels really tight. Either is a great option. So just kind of notice what your experience is. Deep inhale. Exhale. Good. We're going to shift forward until our shoulders are over our wrists. We're in a high plank. From here, we have an option to stay on our toes or bring your knees down to the ground. We want our shoulders stacked over our wrists, and we want our elbow creases rotated so they're facing the front of the room. Then we're going to lower our chest and our belly down to the mat, trying to get them to hit the mat at the same time. Good. Whew. We're going to press into our palms and start to peel our chin and our chest off the mat. Just kind of notice how that feels to your spine. Good. Exhale. Lower your chest back down to the mat, chin back down to the mat. Maybe rocking out on your hips, side to side. Good. From here, push back to your knees. Tuck your toes under. Come back into that upside down V shape. 3 deep breaths right here. Really breathing into this posture, remembering anytime we are in down dog and we're taking a couple breaths, if it feels better for you to drop your knees down to the mat, sink your hips back to your heels, and find child's pose, that is always a great alternative. Wherever you are at, one more deep breath. Inhale, slowly coming back up through tabletop, hands and knees down, tuck your toes under if you are in child's pose, and then inhale, gaze goes in between your hands. Step your feet forward one at a time until you're back into that forward fold. Again, we are bending our knees as deeply as we need to get 10 fingertips down on the mat. Then let your forehead drop, tension out of your neck. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins, lengthening through your knees. Half lift, that flat back. And exhale, fingers back down to the mat, bend through your knees, almost like we're loading our hips like a spring. Put a little bit more weight back into your hips, and then inhale, both hands up overhead. Lengthen into extended mountain, hands overhead. Grab hold of that left wrist again, pull it to the right. And a little side twist here. Good. Gaze might go down to the right foot. Inhale, both hands up overhead. Exhale, opposite wrist in opposite direction. Inhale, back up through center. Maybe this time you drop your neck. Gaze goes up towards the ceiling. Slight back bend here, pushing your thumbs closer to the back wall, opening up to your chest. And breathe there for a moment. Good. Inhale, back to a neutral spine. Bend through your knees, hinge through your hips. Dive forward. Let your head hang heavy. Good. Inhale, hands to shins, half lift. Exhale, plant your hands down on the mat. Bend your knees as deeply as you need. Step back, 1 foot at a time until you're in that upside down V shape again. And we want to bring our shoulder blades as far apart from each other on this one. Really strong upper back. You can heel toe out through your feet. Maybe shaking your head yes and no. Good. Let's inhale to shift forward to high plank again, moving forward until your shoulders are stacked over your wrists. Again, options, knees or toes. Rotate elbow creases so they are facing forward, and then lower down as slowly as you can. Good. Inhale on the belly, press into the palms that are under your shoulders. Peel your chest off of the mat. Cobra. You are welcome to stay here. If you want to start to extend through your elbows, finding upward facing dog. Deeper stretch through your back. Gaze might go up towards the ceiling. Good. From here or back on your belly, push back to down dog. That upside down V shape. And 3 deep breaths. Check in with where you're at. Maybe you take these 3 deep breaths in down dog. Maybe you drop your knees down to the mat, wide knees, big toes touching, sink your hips back to your heels. Maybe you take child's pose. Your choice, 3 deep breaths wherever you are at. Good. Exhale, slowly making your way back into down dog if you found another pose. Inhale, one more time. Let's run through that. Gaze in between your hands and then just step your feet forward one at a time until you are in that forward fold. All 10 fingertips down on the mat. Let your head hang heavy. Inhale, hands to shins. Half lift. Good. Exhale, bend through your knees, fingertips back down. Loading your hips up like a spring. Sit a little bit further back and then inhale, standing up all the way. Extended mountain. Grab hold of that left wrist, pull it to the right. Really lengthening through your side body. And then inhale, both hands up overhead. Exhale. Opposite hand in opposite direction. Inhale, back to center. Again, option to get a slight back bend here, so maybe slowly dropping your head back. Gaze goes to the ceiling, and then you press your thumbs closer to the back wall. Open up through your chest. Exhale, slowly coming back to a neutral spine. Bend through your knees, hinge through your hips, forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins, half lift. Exhale, bending through your knees until your palms can get down onto the mat or floor, and then step back, 1 foot at a time. Back in that downward facing dog. One more time, shift forward to high plank. Knees or toes, elbow creases forward, lower down. Inhale to press up through the palms of your hands into cobra or up dog. Good, and then exhale back, pushing back through your knees or tucking your toes under. Downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths right here. Good. Inhale. Slowly coming back up to down dog if you found child's pose. And then everyone lift their right foot behind you, balancing on that left foot. Rolling out through your right ankle. Maybe bend that right knee. Bend your right knee, bring your right knee tight under your chest. And we're gonna move it through in between our hands. So if you need to physically pick up your right foot, scoot it forward, you can. Once it's there, we're gonna bring our left knee down to the back. So we're in this kneeling posture, right foot forward. Then we're gonna heel toe our right foot out until we have a wide enough space that we feel like we can come up and kneel. Good. And from here, we are going to press both palms into that front knee. Getting really tall through your spine. Then shift your left or your right hand back to your right hip and start to twist to the right. Gaze might go over that right shoulder. Breathing here into your spine. Good. Exhale. Slowly start to come forward again. We're gonna bring our left hand down to the mat. Option to keep your left knee down on the mat, or you can tuck your left toes under, bring your left knee up. So you're in a low lunge or you're in a kneeling lunge. And then we're gonna extend our right hand overhead, opening up to the right side. Good, breathe here. Maybe rolling out through that right wrist. Exhale, slowly bringing that right hand down. You can drop that left knee back down. We're just gonna slowly scoot our right foot forward until it's so far forward we can start to peel our right toes back and start to feel length through that right hamstring. So this pose might feel super not great on your low back. You can come up really high on your fingertips. If you have blocks or anything that you can rest your hands on to get a really tall spine, that'll feel better on your low back. Wherever you are at, breathe here. Good. Just noticing that right hamstring, sending it some love on your inhale, directing all of your oxygen to that muscle. Good. Slowly start to walk your fingers forward until you can bend your right knee and bring your right foot back down to the mat. We are just transitioning to start lengthening through our left hip flexor. So I don't want my right knee to come over my right toes. I might want to scoot my left knee back slightly so I can start to feel that left hip flexor start to lengthen. Again, if you have blocks or books or anything that you can put your hands on right here, it might be a great idea to go grab them if this is not feeling super great on your low back. One more breath here. Exhale, let's move through those two poses one more time. So we're gonna walk our hands back up on high fingertips until you can pull back on your right toes. Start to lengthen through that right hamstring. And breathe here. And deep inhale, directing that entire inhale to that hamstring. Exhale, walk your fingers forward, plant your right toes back down. Start to feel some length through your left hip flexor. Again, this forward motion isn't coming from me bringing my right knee over my right toes. I'm lengthening my left leg out behind me. Breathe here. Good. Exhale, slowly moving back just enough so you can plant your hands down, tuck your left toes under, bring your left knee off the mat, and step back. Back in a downward facing dog. Option to stay here. Option to drop down to your knees, find child's pose. Or find any other posture that feels restful to you for 3 deep breaths. That might just be laying on your back on your mat or on the floor. Whatever works. Inhale, slowly coming back up into down dog. Really spreading your fingers wide here, bringing your shoulder blades further apart. Inhale to lift your left foot overhead. So behind you, maybe rolling out through your ankle. Bending and straightening your knee. Good, bend your left knee, bring it tight under your chest. Use those strong abs to pull your left foot forward. And once your left foot is on the ground, if you need to scoot it forward using your hand, you can do that. Once you're here, lower your right knee down to the mat. we're moving to bring both hands up to our left knee. So if you need to heel toe your left foot out to get a wider base to feel more stable. Once you feel stable, both hands move up to that left knee. Inhale, breathe in here. Let that blood circulation regulate. Inhale to press the palms of your hands down. Grow your spine a little bit longer. Then slide your left hand back to your left hip. On an inhale, sit up a little bit taller. Exhale, rotate to your chest to the left. Good. Gaze might go over that left shoulder. Exhale, slowly coming back to center. Both hands to that left knee. Bring them down back to your mat. And we are going to plant our right hand down on the mat. Again, right knee can be on or off the mat. You can tuck your right toes under, come up off that right knee, and then extend your left hand up to the ceiling, opening up through your chest. Good. Deep breaths here. Exhale, slowly lowering that hand back down. Bring your knee back down. Heel toe your left foot so it's right in the middle of your mat. And then inhale, we're going to start walking our hands back again. Maybe scooting your left foot forward. Pulling up on your left toes for that hamstring stretch. Deep inhale here. Noticing maybe if one hamstring is tighter than the other today. On an inhale, directing that full inhale to your left hamstring. On the exhale, trying to get those muscles to soften just a little bit more. Good. Exhale, we're going to start to walk our fingertips forward. Plant your left toes back down on the mat. Walk your hands forward a little bit more. And then maybe consider scooting your right knee back slightly so you can fill into that right hip flexor. Good. Deep inhale here. Making sure that left knee is not over your left toes. Exhale, slowly walking your fingertips back, pulling up on your left toes so you're back in that hamstring stretch. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Good, one more time, slowly walking your fingertips forward, coming into that right hip flexor again. Deep inhale, exhale, allowing the muscles around your right hip to soften just a little bit. Good. Exhale, slowly shifting back just enough so you can tuck your right toes under, pick your right knee up off the mat, and step back. Downward facing dog again. Let's all take a child's pose right here. So dropping your knees down to the mat, big toes touching. Sink your hips back to your heels. And allow your forehead to rest on something. Whether that's the mat, you can stack fists and rest your forehead on that. Or if you have a block or something to bring the ground closer to you, you can rest on that. Just taking a moment here, 5 deep breaths to check in with your body. Noticing where this child's pose is lengthening and breathing into those spaces just a little bit more. One more deep inhale. Exhale, slowly coming back into tabletop, so hands and knees on the mat. From here, we're gonna tuck our toes under again. Bring your hips up to the ceiling. Downward facing dog, inhale. Right foot comes overhead again. Maybe bending your right knee this time. Stack your right hip on top of your left, opening your hips up if that feels good. If not, come right back, squaring your hips to the floor or mat. And everyone square their hips off. Bend your right knee, bring it straight on through, in between your hands. Good, so right foot in between our hands. This time we're gonna circle our left foot down to the mat. And inhale, both hands up overhead, warrior one. Good. Deep inhale. Exhale, soften through your shoulders just a little bit. Again, hands overhead is an option. Hands to heart center is an option. Hands to hips is an option. So choose what works for you. Take a look down at that front knee. Should still be able to see your toes. If you can't see your toes, step forward with your front foot just a little bit more. My back foot, my left foot is pressing down into the mat. It's at an angle. Good. Deep inhale here. Exhale, open up into warrior two. Our right hand's coming in front of us. Left hand's coming behind us. You might heel toe that back foot back a little bit more, get a wider base, and bend a little bit more through that front knee. Good. Gaze fixed over that front middle knuckle. Roll your shoulders back one if your hands are up. Heart rate might be getting up. Deep inhale. Breathe into the fire. Exhale. Soften. Good. Bring your hands down to your sides. Just shake out through your shoulders. You're setting up for a front shoulder stretch. So be really mindful of how your shoulders feel in this. If this feels too tight for you, always options to back off. So what we're gonna do is our hips are facing the side. We're gonna pivot so they're facing about the corner of our towel or our mat. So just find your hips instead of facing straight on. They're gonna be at an angle. So once we're there, we're gonna inhale, really tall spine. Bring your hands behind you. See if you can interlace your fingers. If you cannot, if that's not an option, you can always grab something like a shirt to hold onto behind you. That works as well. Once you are there, roll your shoulders back and down. If you can feel this through your shoulders are already, option to stay here. If you want to hinge forward through your hips, start to bring your arms up overhead. Humble warrior. Ooh, breathe here. Breathing into your shoulders. Breathing into your strong legs. 2 more breaths. Good. Exhale, slowly coming back up. Ooh. Letting go of that towel if you found something, or releasing the bind. Good. From here, we're gonna bring our feet a little bit closer, and then we're gonna pivot. So both of our feet are facing the long side of our mat or whatever you're facing. So now we're doing a wide straddle. You wanna turn your big toes so they're facing out at the corners. And then inhale, really tall spine, hands to hips. Exhale, hinge forward through your hips. Come into a forward fold. Hands can stay on your hips if that feels good through your shoulders, or you can bring your hands down to the mat. Let your head hang heavy. Shaking your head yes and no. Inhale, slowly coming up on your fingertips, taking a flat back and a wide straddle. And then we're going to walk towards the opposite foot to the left foot now. So facing the other side of your mat or towel or whatever wall you're facing, you're going to face the opposite one now. Coming into a low lunge over your left foot. Step back. Back in that downward facing dog. And take 5 deep breaths wherever you would like. So if you want to stay in down dog, you can. If you want to drop down to your knees and take child's pose, you can. If you want to flip over to your back and breathe in Shavasana, you can. If you want to create some movement, you can shift forward to high plank. Lower down to your belly. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhale back. Downward facing dog. One more deep breath wherever you are at. Slowly making your way back into down dog, that upside down V shape. Then inhale, left foot comes up overhead. Pointing your left toes, maybe bend your left knee, stack your left hip on top of your right if that felt good on the other side. Exhale, squaring your hips off, left knee tight under your chest. Move your foot straight on through. Good. This time we're gonna circle our right foot all the way down to the mat. And inhale up when you're ready. Warrior one on the opposite side. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Heart rate might be up. If it is, that's okay. You can bring it back down just a little bit in 3 deep breaths. Again, we have options with our arms. You can keep them up overhead, hands to heart center, or to hips. Take a look at that front knee. Make sure you can still see your toes. You can't bring that front foot forward just a little bit more. One more deep breath. Open up into warrior two. Left hand in front of you, right hand behind you. Again, I like to scoot my back foot back a little bit more and bend more through this front leg. Get a deeper stretch to that inner quad muscle. Roll your shoulders down if you're holding your arms up. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Good. One more deep breath. Exhale, hands come down to our sides, shake out, really good job. Again, notice where your hips are. If your hips are facing the side of your mat, just angle them so you're about the corner of your mat here. You can step back in with that back foot if you stepped out. And from here, we're gonna find that shoulder stretch again. So inhale, roll your shoulders back and down. Maybe think about clasping your hands behind your back. Again, if you have a jacket or something you can hold on to behind you, you can hold on to that as well. If you have your hands clasped down by your tailbone, really tall spine opening up through your chest. Option to stay here and breathe, or bend a little bit more through that front knee. Start to hinge through your hips. Coming forward into humble warrior. Nose gazes down at the belly button. And breathe. Oh, good. One more breath. Inhale, slowly coming back up. Slowly release the bind, hands out to the sides, and then pivot both of your feet so they're facing the long edge of your mat again, wide straddle. Big toes facing the corners of your mat. option to do that forward fold like we just did, where we just folded forward and our hands are down on the mat. If you want to stretch your shoulders again, inhale, roll your shoulders back, clasp your hands behind you again. Take a deep inhale, a little bit taller through your spine, imagining if there's a string at the crown of your head pulling you closer to the ceiling. Good. Exhale, start to hinge forward through your hips, keeping that clasped hand behind you. Gaze goes down to the mat, allowing gravity to stretch out through your shoulders. Take 3 deep breaths right here. So good. Inhale, slowly lowering your clasped hands down to your tailbone. Then just releasing them down to the mat in front of you one at a time. Inhale, come up high on your fingertips again, half lift in this wide straddle. And then exhale, bend through your elbows. Come back down to a wide straddle. Good. Exhale, walking your hands back to your right foot. Coming into a low lunge over that right foot. Step back, back in down dog. Another child's pose here, so dropping down to your knees. Knees far apart, big toes touching. Sink your hips back to your heels. Walk your hands further away from you. Forehead down to the mat or stack this. And breathe. 5 deep breaths. We have this pressure point in between our eyebrows, and when it's pressing up against something, whether it's the floor or your fist, it releases serotonin in your brain. Happy hormones. Anytime you are stressed out or you feel overwhelmed, find child's pose. Good. Inhale, slowly coming back up into tabletop, hands and knees on the mat. We are going to bring our right hand, so it's about in the middle of our mat, and then we're going to inhale our left hand up overhead, twisting open through our low back. Gaze might go up towards the ceiling if it feels okay in your neck. Might look down at your right hand if that feels good. Moving into another shoulder stretch. Be super careful as you're moving into this and be very mindful of how it feels. We're going to thread our left hand underneath our right arm. We're going to slowly start to put our weight into our left shoulder and the left side of our face. Good. So my hips are still up in the air. I'm just starting to lean my weight onto my left shoulder and the left side of my face. Just breathing here. I might walk my right hand further away from me and sit back a little bit further on my hip to feel the stretch a little bit deeper. Breathe here. One more deep inhale. And exhale, slowly walking your right hand back under your right shoulder, pressing up through the palm of your right hand, lifting that left arm up overhead. Maybe doing a little arm circle with it to get it back down on the mat. And switching sides. So this time, left hand comes to about the middle of our mat. Right hand rotates up overhead. And then when you are ready, thread your needle. So right arm comes under our left arm. And I'm slowly working my way down to bring my weight into my right shoulder and the right side of my face. Good. Hips can be all the way up in the air. The higher up you have your hips, the less weight you have on your shoulder. So start here. Notice how this feels. then maybe start to bend a little bit more through your knees, bringing your hips closer to your heels. And maybe you can walk your left arm further out in front of you. And breathe here. Noticing if there is one shoulder that feels a little bit tighter today. Inhale, slowly moving your left hand back under your left shoulder, pressing into the palm of that left hand, lift back up. Right hand comes up to the ceiling, and then back down on the mat. Good. Slowly walking back with your knees a little bit more. We're going to lower down to our belly. The safest way to do this for your shoulders is we're going to roll our elbow creases forward again, and I'm lowering down, shoulders stacked over wrists, to my belly. Good. From here, you are going to rest your right cheek on the mat and just lay down. Take out to your hips. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Good. Let's do a couple back extension poses. So any low back pain you've been experiencing, this will help lengthen those muscles. First one, we're going to inhale and just lift our chin off the mat. My gaze is fixed right down in the front of my mat. I'm just lifting my head, my neck, a little bit of my shoulders off the mat. Strengthening through your back. Inhale, if you want to get a little bit deeper into this, maybe inhale, peel your chest off the mat. So now my collarbones all the way down to my sternum is off the mat. Inhale, hands can be lifted off the mat behind you, palms facing up. If that feels okay, maybe you can lift your toes off the mat. Ooh, strong back. Inhale, lift everything up a little bit more, locust pose. One more deep breath. Exhale, lower everything back down, left cheek on the mat. Just allow your hips to shake out side to side. Good. One more back extension pose. This time, you're going to come up just enough so you can get your elbows underneath your shoulders. Fingertips facing the front of the mat. Good. And maybe your elbows come out just a little bit wider than your shoulders, so you feel really supported through your shoulders. You don't feel like you're sinking into them, but you're pressing down through your elbows. You start to feel some length through your spine. Deep inhale here, Sphinx pose. Exhale, gaze might go up in the direction of the ceiling. Good. If this feels okay, maybe you press down through the palms of your hands and then pull your hands forward a little bit more. So I'm just pressing my chest forward, just getting a little deeper into that back extension. Good. Exhale, slowly lowering your chest back down, getting your arms out of the way, pressing back to your knees. Knees wide. Let's find child's pose again. Bringing your hips back to your heels. 5 deep breaths. Rest right here. One more deep inhale. Slowly coming back up into tabletop. And then just facing the camera for a moment, I just want to show you guys something before we move into our next pose. So we had said that shoulders is a big one, that our shoulders and our neck are tight, and that's pretty common. If you think about a posture that we're in constantly. Our shoulders are rolled forward. So if you look at that from the side, if my shoulders are rolled forward, all of these back muscles are really stretched out and long all day, and all these front shoulder muscles are really tight all day. So to fix that, one thing we can do is we can lengthen these front shoulder muscles, which is what we did. We got our arms behind us. We opened up through the shoulders. The second thing we can do is we can strengthen or get these back muscles to tighten or contract. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to do a back shoulder strengthening movement. And this is a more advanced arm balance pose. But again, play to your edge, feel it a little bit, go to where you feel comfortable, go to where you can feel that burn in your shoulders, and then back up when you need to. So setting up for that, we're going to do the arms we just did in Sphinx pose. So my elbows are going to be down on the mat, stacked under my shoulders. Fingertips are spread wide. And just kind of notice how that feels. You might not be able to bend your knees and get down this far, so your knees might be up and hips might be up like this. It's okay too. From here, we're going to start to give our shoulders some more weight to support. So we're going to tuck our toes under and bring your hips up to the ceiling. Ooh. And there is some of that shoulder strength. So breathe here. If you can feel your shoulders start to shake, it means those muscles are getting stronger. And if you need to come back down to your knees, take a breather, absolutely do so. We're going to be here for a couple breaths. So come down when you need, go back up, and find that fire. You can make this more intense by walking your toes closer to your elbows. And breathe and drop down to your knees when you need to. Good. A couple more breaths. Let's try and find that one more time. This pose is called dolphin. So try and find your version of dolphin. And it might just be that your knees are lifted an inch off the mat. That might be your dolphin today. It might be that your knees are completely on the mat and you can feel it in your shoulders. It's a great option too. One more. Find the dolphin. Woo. Exhale. Beautiful. Come back down. So good. And slowly sink back into child's pose one more time. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Good. Inhale, slowly start walking your hands up. Then we're going to come into seated. So however that's easiest for you, I just like to lean off to one hip, swing my legs around, come to seated. Good. Find a seated position. Shake out through your shoulders. Maybe take your fingertips to your shoulder tops and just do a couple rolls. Good. Starting small, getting bigger with each rotation. Slowing down, going the opposite way. Good. Shaking out through your hands. And slowly making your way down to your back. So bend through your knees, bring the soles of your feet down, and then come down to a lying position, lying on your mat. And then just kind of allow your low back to sink into the mat. You can windshield wiper your knees back and forth if that feels okay. Deep inhale. Good. Deep exhale. One more strengthening posture, a couple more lengthening postures, and then we have got our hour in. So we're going to keep the soles of our feet on the mat. We're going to really root down through the heels of our feet. Inhale, lift your hips up. Good, bridge pose. So breathing here, really noticing the strength of your glutes and your quads, holding your legs up. Breathe here. Exhale, one vertebrae at a time, slowly lower back down to the mat. And when your tailbone touches down on your mat, inhale. Lift your hips back up. Good. Staying here in this bridge, you can even walk your arms beneath you. Maybe bring your shoulder blades closer together and bind your hands underneath your hips. That feels okay. Take 3 deep breaths right here. So good. Strong legs. Exhale, releasing your hands if they are bound. Walk your shoulders out. Allow your tailbone to rest back down on the mat. Bring the soles of your feet off of the mat. Hug your knees into your chest. Rocking back and forth. Give yourself a little hug. Good. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Allow your left foot to come back down to the mat. Our right foot is going to come out and our right shin is going to rest on the top half of our left leg. So coming into that figure 4, just lying down. Just kind of notice how this feels for your right hip, opening up slightly. From here, we're going to bring our left foot off of the mat and we're going to grab hold of our left shin. So I'm going to thread my right hand through in between that little figure 4 hole. I'm going to grab hold of my left shin. That might feel too tight or too restricting for you. You can always hold on to your left hamstring. Whatever you can grab onto. Just breathe here. You can rock side to side. Good. Slowly removing your hands and bringing them out to a T. Just letting your feet be right where they're at. We're going to slowly bring our right foot down to the floor on the left side. So we're just allowing both of our legs to fall to the left, twisting through our low back. Good. Try to find some release through your legs, try to find something to let them rest on. So if the floor feels too far away, you can always grab like a block or a pillow and put it under your legs to let them rest into this spinal twist. Try and keep both of your shoulder blades down on the mat. Gaze might go over to the right shoulder. Deep inhale here. Breathing into that low back. Good. Exhale. Slowly bringing both knees back up to center again, hugging your knees into your chest one more time, rocking side to side. This time moving your right foot down to the mat. That left shin is going to come to the top half of our right leg, figure 4 on the opposite side. And then again, just allow your low back to settle back into the mat. If you would like to, you can pick up your right foot, thread your hands through, and hold on to that right shin or hamstring. Figure 4, lengthening to that left hip. Be rocking side to side. Good. Inhale, slowly removing your hands and bringing your arms up to a T. And we're just going to let both of our legs come to the right side. So both legs just rest the right side of our mat. Again, we're twisting through that low back, trying to keep both shoulder blades down on the mat. Gaze might go over toward your left shoulder. Take a deep inhale here, inhaling into that low back. As you exhale, just let everything soften. Good. Inhale, slowly coming back to center. Hugging your knees into your chest one more time. Option to take happy baby. Bring your peace finger, so your pointer finger and your middle finger. Wrap them around your toes or grab hold of your feet, your shins, whatever you can grab, and pull your feet up towards the ceiling. Rocking out on your low back, side to side. And when you are ready, find rest. As part of the class, you can lengthen your legs out long in front of you. Bring your arms out to the side. Find Shavasana. If extending your legs out long doesn't feel great on your low back, you can always bend your knees, bring the soles of your feet to the mat. But wherever you are at, find a restful place. Allow your eyes to close. Take a deep inhale. Deep exhale. Start to settle in to your breath. Again, just allowing the sounds that are happening around you to keep happening. Coming back to your breathing. Every time you find your mind getting carried away, come back to your breathing. What happens in your body when you inhale? What happens in your body when you exhale? Stay with that as long as you can. And keep coming back to it when you find your mind has wandered off. Work when there is work to do. Rest when you are tired. One thing done in peace will most likely be better than 10 things done in panic. I am not a hero if I deny rest. I am only tired. Giving yourself a couple more inhales and exhales. Giving yourself a couple more moments of rest. Slowly starting to wiggle your fingers and toes. Taking some deeper inhales and exhales. Maybe bringing both hands overhead, taking a full body stretch. Coming back to your Tuesday. When you are ready, coming either to your left or your right hip into a fetal position. You can bring one of your arms underneath your head as a pillow. Take a couple moments here, blinking open your eyes. And when you are ready, coming into a seated position, facing the camera, if your camera's on. Good. Bringing your hands to heart center. Thumbs pressing up against your sternum, which is pressing up against your heart. At the end of most yoga classes, you'll hear someone say the word namaste, and this is a very loaded, beautiful word, but in Sanskrit, it translates to the divine light that is in me, sees, honors, respects, and loves the divine light that's in you. So thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.